Hello DesignTV, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Elissa Black, Executive Director of NYC by Design, a non-profit committed to empowering, supporting and growing this city's incredible design sector. I'm joining you today in celebration of our internationally renowned annual design festival, which is taking place right now through November 18. This festival really celebrates the immense creativity and diversity of New York City's design community, with hundreds of events celebrating design innovation, resilience, creativity, sustainability, and much more. Be sure to check out our festival website at festival.nyxdesign.org so you can be a part of New York City's official celebration of design. And while you're at it, please do mark your calendars for the return of our 10th anniversary festival next year, running from May 10 to 20 in 2022. We hope to see you there. This week during the festival, we're taking over DesignTV by SANDOW to spotlight New York City's thriving design sector through a series of fascinating videos and conversations with local design leaders. So without further ado, please do sit back and enjoy this fascinating exploration of design in New York City's 5 boroughs.
Hi everyone, I'm Valerie Hoffman, Program Director for NYC by Design. In May 2021, we introduced Self-Guided Journeys, an immersive online platform touring some of New York City's most vibrant design districts, uncovering the engine of creativity in every borough. From hidden design gems to creative studios, cultural centers, talented local design studios, and one-of-a-kind architectural feats, you can visit Soho and Tribeca, Southwest Brooklyn, Long Island City, St. George, and the South Bronx at any time. We want to take you to some of these neighborhoods with us today. Before we dive in, here's a warm welcome to NYC from some designers that represent the collective power of our expansive creative community.
The activity of other creative people like doing their thing and trying to like make it happen, like that's home for me.
We made it our duty to represent our people the right way.
It's really about the diversity, it's really about the layers of history.
I really appreciate this location, so many different cultures and so many different backgrounds.
It's a really wide open, wacky range of individuals.
There's such a cross-section of artists and designers and performers.
It's hard not to be inspired by the architecture you're given as the basis of a lot of your design. Amazingly interesting New York bones that only could happen in New York.
Design in New York City in one word: persistent.
Vibrant.
Forward.
Eclectic.
Fearless.
Imagination.
Bold.
Cutting edge.
Exciting.
Fascinating.
Progressive.
Matrix.
Stimulating. Resilient.
True. It's what it is. It is only in New York City, so you already know. Real.
On today's stop of our Self-Guided Journeys tour, let's visit the South Bronx. The area's rich history, walkability, and proximity to Manhattan has made it a desirable area for designers to build their practices. While watching these videos, it'll come as no surprise that the area's rich culture and vibrant energy make for the perfect setting for artists and designers alike. During today's visit, we'll start at the Bronx Native, a retail space devoted to Bronx-themed apparel, art, and media. Then Jerome Lamar's colorful studio that houses his ongoing fashion, art, and music projects. Up next will be J.M. Szymanski Studio, a furniture studio that incorporates radical shapes and demonstrates a fascination with unique geometries, raw materials, and unusual forms. Then we'll take a visit to Gomez Design Studio, a small business that builds furniture and functional art made entirely from salvaged and recycled materials. And we'll end at Chassis, a design studio creating custom desks, standing desks, and everything in between. Welcome to the South Bronx.
The Bronx has a very unique and special culture here, especially amongst the artist and creative community.
Was born and raised here in this beautiful borough. My whole life, I heard negative things about it. We made it our duty to change that narrative, to showcase the Bronx the right way.
the world is starting to discover the South Bronx.
We've been able to utilize some incredible vendors and artisans in the South Bronx.
We are able to collaborate with artists who are here in our building.
Tons of artists are here, great new eateries, and most of all, there's open space.
Emerging.
Cultured.
Authentic.
Vibrant.
Bronx design is beautiful, and I'm gonna leave it at that, that's it. My name is Amaudis Grujong, and we're at the Bronx Native Shop. I believe that the Bronx is the most beautiful place on earth. I was born and raised here in this beautiful borough, and my whole life I heard negative things about it. A misperspective, you know what I mean? And we made it, our duty to change that narrative, to showcase the Bronx the right way, to represent our people the right way. Bronx Native is a brand that embodies what the Bronx truly is. We highlight our home, our borough, our people through art, media, apparel, events, and more. We're here to be a platform for expression, and it's been a beautiful journey, I've always been an artist, and I really saw my future more as a graphic designer than an illustrator, so I went that route. I went to the School of Visual Arts for my bachelor's. My senior professor was Paula Scheer. Every time I had the chance to design something about the Bronx, I always made it about the Bronx. She always used to be so excited to see my presentation or see my work, and she used to say, I like when you present, because you show us how the Bronx looks, right? And then she said, you should brand the Bronx. And I was, it was kind of dope, to hear that from somebody so well known and such an incredible designer, telling, an up and coming designer that was pretty amazing to me. Something that connected my design with my community, This space, it happened very organically. We weren't planning to open up a commercial space, but we were able to have the opportunity to create something here. For us, it wasn't only about selling a product. It wasn't about selling a shirt. With the shop, we wanted to create an interactive experience, something that when people come in, they feel the Bronx, right? It's an authentic representation, an authentic experience that shows you the boogie down Bronx, right? For instance, the walls are all taggable, right? Reflecting just the community and just reflecting also off of graffiti, right? And graffiti being one of the elements of hip hop. So many incredible things came out of the Bronx, like hip hop, like salsa, like doo-wop. This is definitely a melting pot of so many different cultures, and we wanted the shop to incorporate that, right? I really feel that the shop represents the Bronx in the mostest and the bestest of ways, yeah. Bronx Native has been part of a movement, and that movement is a Bronx Renaissance, right? There's so much empowerment here. There's so much going on when it comes to up and coming creatives doing their work, and having fun doing it, right? Expressing themselves, creating platforms for representation, right? Creating spaces, inclusive spaces that allow our people to go out there and do what they want to do, right? They can create, they can make it happen, they can design, they can create their own narrative, their own future, and take real ownership of that. And real quick, can I get a yeah? That was the catchphrase right there. You already know. Thank you.
My name is Jerome Lamar, and you guys are in my studio in the South Bronx. My career started when I was 15 years old. I started working for the famous couple, Russell and Kamora Lee Simmons, where they allowed me to design the brand Baby Fat, which was a huge success in the early 2000s. And I later went into the fashion industry knowing and having about 8 years of experience of color, concept, and trend. So after that, I ended up moving to Paris, doing trends, or we call them tendance, where I got a chance to travel the world and meet many different people and explore different concepts. And it led me back home to the Bronx. While I was traveling, it was really important for me to explore different hubs of culture and concepts. It was really interesting to see how the subculture inspired the culture and how we can bring something from the lower up to the surface in a new way. So, I came back home to the Bronx and had to tell my own narrative and speak my own truth, and made my own world, which was my store 9J, which started this whole South Bronx Lux thing, which is my term to describe what's happening here now. The world is starting to discover the South Bronx. And while they've always known the Bronx for the Yankees and Botanical Gardens and the Bronx Zoo, now tons of artists are here, great new eateries, and most of all, there's open space, which I think people are seeking right now thanks to what's happening in our world today. It's really cool to see the evolution of a neighborhood that was seeking attention to where it is today. So my brand is called 531. My brand is known for mixing the highs and the lows. I see myself as a bridge. Crazy concepts with contemporary things to make something that feels new and beautiful and luxe and also street, which is very important to me. Some of the brands I've worked with in the past are Google, Pantone, Maybelline, L'Oreal, and Adidas Ivy Park. I do creative direction. Some brands I actually do trend direction, some are design direction. So it varies depending on what the client needs. So the next chapter for me is basically taking it global. The brand is gonna focus on shirting. And how do you become the new Gap or the new J. Crew with another twist to it? From the Bronx. Right? That's American style. And so I wanted to bring my own interpretation to it, to speak to my generation and the next, and maybe tell another narrative about what is America now? And that's what my focus is now. Although I've traveled and lived in many places, the Bronx is home.
My name is Jake Szymanski, and our studio is located in South Bronx, New York City. Our studio is a luxury furniture design studio. Our vision is to produce one-of-a-kind pieces, mostly for the architecture and interior design communities. The space we're in today is a 5,000 square foot space that we use for production, shows showing new work, our work, but also local artists' work. Basically a rotating gallery space where people can come and see how the product is made and also view the finished product in the gallery space. This space is very special to us. It's exclusively ours, and we're hoping to make it a space that is accessible to the design community, but also the South Bronx community. We picked South Bronx first and foremost for, I think, practical reasons. It is expensive to produce in New York City. The South Bronx offered us space. We are now 5 people, and we've been able to utilize some incredible vendors and artisans also here in the South Bronx. Our mission is to really support the community and cultivate a very close-knit community of artisans and artists. I see the Bronx creative community really as a budding creative community. It is a borough that has maybe not found its confidence quite yet, but I think we're starting to see a community that's really starting to emerge. I think the media are also beginning to pick up on that, and that's allowing people permission to kind of have that confidence and come out and show their work. It's a really exciting time for South Bronx.
My name is Tiffany Gomez, and you are here in my studio, Gomez Design Studio, in the Port Morris section of the Bronx. So my journey as a designer began in design school. I have an architectural design background. I really wanted to start something of my own after being in the corporate world for about 4 or 5 years, and decided right after I had my son that this would be the perfect time to start this journey. That was about 4.5 years ago. Since then, it's been developing my work and just learning as I go, and this is where we are today. The inspiration behind my work is really focusing on sustainability and using salvaged and recycled materials as much as possible. Early on in my studies, I realized that the design industry was probably one of the most wasteful, and it just inspired me to always be resourceful and conscious of the materials that I'm using in my work. The predominant material that I use is lath. So this is from lath and plaster construction. So this dates back to like pre-1950s. In the beginning, I used to find little bits and pieces of it on the street, like if somebody was doing demo on their house. Wood just kind of became the main focus from the beginning because it was just everywhere. I fell in love with the process of working with wood. It's a very forgiving material. I've just kept holding on to it since then. Born and raised in the Bronx and still living here. So Bronx all the way. I actually found this studio on Craigslist, of all places. I thankfully found this building. It's super industrial. I love it. All of the people that are here are amazing artists, and we're all very much like a family here. We support each other, and I love being in this space. The lighting is wonderful, and it's in a great location. The Bronx has a very unique and special culture here, and we are all about community and being in support of one another, especially amongst the artist and creative community. And I really do want to keep uplifting that, and I think all of us do in our own individual and unique ways. Even in this building, there are a couple of people that I am in the process of collaborating with, so you will see some more of that very soon. We love to learn about what the other person is doing, and if we can somehow work together and combine forces, then it's a wonderful thing and a great experience to do that.
My name is Andrew Daines, and we're at Chassis Studio in the Bronx. At Chassis, we make furniture for your life's work, mostly tables and desks with this wild art print design that nobody else really has. The Chassis desk is really unusual. It is part art. Each one features as its desktop surface an original work of art by a New York City artist. We know and collaborate with all of these artists. It gets printed on Baltic birch plywood, and we mill it here into tables and desks of all kinds. Mostly standing desks is what we sell. And embedded within it is a bunch of high-tech features. The top is coated with a special additive that allows it to be whiteboard marker safe. And inside of it, we have wireless charging coils that mean if you just put your phone down on the surface, it starts charging your phone or device. One of the designers that we work with is Jean, who created Urbis. Urbis has been a top seller for us, and one of my favorite things about it is that it has the art print on it, but it also exposes the natural grain of the birch wood. And it gives this almost magical, impossible feel to it, that it's a work of art on birch wood that you can still doodle and draw on and be playful with. And that was one of the special things that he helped us discover. We'd never thought of doing that before Jean brought us this idea for Urbis, and we're grateful and happy to be working with him.
My name is Jean-Bertrand Willen-Guillemana. I've been a product designer for near a decade now. It's pretty fortunate for me to be part of this project and this work with Chassis. The design I created called Urbis. It's a portrayal of the New York City skyline. So I was walking along the water in Brooklyn Bridge Park, and looking across, you can see the New York City skyline in Lower Manhattan. And it's kind of where I got the idea for actually sort of having a New York City skyline lit up in color, sort of abstracting away the shapes of the actual buildings.
We launched our business 1 week before New York City lockdown. By the time we were able to get our bearings, there were more sales than we knew what to do with, so we just got to work. We came here every day, produced every single piece ourselves, packaged, shipped everything ourselves. Because we had to be choosy about who our customers were going to be, we focused mostly on serving New Yorkers, making deliveries where we could and making sure that New Yorkers could get back to work with a standing desk in their home. I was in auto racing before this, actually. I made high-tech communication systems that go in race cars like Formula One and NASCAR. It was time to move on, and what I wanted to bring with me was this idea of building a foundation. The core kind of frame of the desk stays the same, but you can customize and do whatever you want with the top and the features, just like the chassis of a car. We make right-handed versus left-handed. We can tailor the desktop exactly to the inch, or even put a curve in it for a corner. Chassis Studio isn't just our workshop, it's a showroom, so we invite people anywhere, anytime to come over. So they really see a huge amount of the production aspect of making these desks. Our location in the Bronx has meant that we can have a super local supply chain. It allows us to come up with an idea and execute on the idea in days or weeks, not months, because we don't have to wait for a part or something to come from Asia or from a different part of the world. Our lumber yard is right across the street. Our powder coater is just up the road. And we are able to collaborate with artists who are here in our building. We can always promise that we'll be super fast and that will be exactly what they want or need in their space.
Thank you for joining us today on a design-filled journey through the South Bronx. Visit NYCxDesign.org to explore the complete self-guided journeys platform, and visit festival.nycxdesign.org to explore all of the events taking place now across the 5 boroughs. And a big thank you to our partners, sponsors, event organizers, and attendees for making this edition of the festival a success.
Architecture for workplace shouldn't be based on fashion or style. They're not decorative decisions.
The bottom line is, how can we make someone work better?
We start off by saying we want to make a meaningful space for you. The architecture is going to perform a task and help bring you somewhere. So the best architecture is going to come from the best information.
If you look at all the people getting off the subways between 8 and 9, they're not going to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They're going to their workplace.
When we came into this work in 95, 96, you really didn't see a lot of architects spending a lot of time thinking about what these workplaces could feel like, what kinds of emotions they could elicit in the users, how you could benefit large groups of people. I think a lot of people see this now.
Well, now you look really smart.
Yeah, we're really lucky.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Welcome to your office.
This is so beautiful, you guys.
It's crazy, right?
I would look at the space and say hospitality.
Right, yeah. So we do hospitality design, don't we?
Yeah, you do.
We just, it's a new word for a workplace.
Yeah, exactly.
When we worked on Squarespace, Anthony Castellino has a really special relationship to design. I mean, the tagline of their company is "Build It Beautiful."
I think it's an expression of our values. Google has more of a playful feel. Facebook is like more of an unfinished sort of thing. But we've always believed in the power of design and what it can do both, for our product and actually for our customers.
Perfect. We needed to come up with architectural solutions that would allow for focus of a very intense nature, but also the ability to be peeled away from that focus. What we came up with is a sort of concentric model, favoring the light and the perimeter for the working focus, and then having this core, this black mass that rises up through the building, going into that darker space, we're going to solve a problem, and then we're going to reemerge to the light.
It's not only two different spaces, but it's two different kind of work modes.
And this is what you do best too, right?
Yeah,
It's like
layers and
yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
And
Create
adaptive
spaces for
reuse.
parties.
right.
Create spaces for people.
We were for so many years like the underdog of workplace. We were coming at it from a completely different understanding of how you can increase performance. You know, our name is not Zizmore and Folger, it was architecture plus information. We value something that's more connected to you as a client.
How do you get the information that you need?
First, we figure out who the hell you are. Then we figure out where the hell you're going.
What are your problems?
Yeah, and what are your
issues?
values? What do you care about in the world? So we ask questions they don't expect, like, what's your favorite hotel to stay in and why?
Where do you have arguments in the office?
Have you seen Hamilton? No.
It's like a crime movie, right? We're in a crime movie, and you know, of course the butler did it. And we're like, no, actually, if you look at the data, the butler didn't do it. It was the cook. We love to kind of go, you think you know everything about your office. There are 5 things that we're going to tell you at the end of this process that are going to surprise you.
Completely blow your mind,
Yes.
right?
I think they probably interviewed 70 or 80 or 100 people within my company about what would you like to see in your new home and how would that feel?
You have these executives who are committed to transformation.
In the end, they walk their architectural project and can talk about the mission of their company through the architecture. We call it like walking the mission statement. Those are the best projects.
We went from 80% office, 20% open, to 80% open, 20% office. That's a pretty big cultural change in terms of people's perception of how they're going to work. It's basically, we're all in this together. Our space finally represented who we were.
This is the treehouse.
This is the tree house. We're finding opportunities sectionally. Everybody feels kind of connected, right?
Yeah, but there's a porch.
Let's go. Yeah, you have the ability to address the group.
It's like the Pope.
It's papal.
Yeah.
It's very papal.
All right, so we're sitting amongst the pussy willows.
I don't know that's what they're called.
We would design these spaces with these clean surfaces, and then day 2, a ficus plant would show up and somebody's fern would show up. And so one of the beginning goals here was how can we integrate botanicals in a way that supports the architecture and in some cases even provide some functionality to it.
Okay, what does Brad give you?
That's easy.
Hives. Just kidding.
The biggest thing is humor, obviously.
I like this section.
Yeah, can we just devote
Can we
the whole
just do
thing?
this?
Yeah, we'll just, I know where his buttons are too.
He does.
Our partnership has lasted 20 years because of how we treat people, how we think about commitment. You know, there's so many things.
Values. We share really similar
So
values.
what does DAG give you?
One of my favorite stories is we had done that first project I told you about, and it was met with great fanfare. The director of the entire company just tore it apart. And DAG reminded me, well, that's what it's going to be like if we try to tweak models.
You know, whether you're doing art or music or architecture, people are always going to say, no, that's not the way, you know, I heard it before.
Okay, where the heck are we?
Welcome to the future of workplace.
What we're trying to do is bring smaller companies here that their workforce lives in Brooklyn. So this will all be this development that is both retail and commercial.
This building is ours not to ruin, right?
Yeah, look at this. This is fantastic.
More than anything, it's about building a community.
Well, that's the way we do it in Bushwick. Retail is no different than workplace, right? At the base of all of this is interaction. So we're taking all of these things that we've learned and we're kind of extending that out of the workplace into the building itself.
You want to learn about this stair?
Are you kidding? Yes, this is incredible.
Well, it's the largest commercial building in the country,
Yes.
except for the Pentagon. We did the stairs, we reimagined the food hall on the second floor. It's all the retail spaces on the first and second floor.
Oh my God, this is just so magical.
The public parts of offices need to catch up to what architects and designers are doing inside the leasehold.
Brad and I are just show folk, really, who want to tell a story. And the entire office is a storytelling device.
The story here is that iHeartMedia really rules the airwaves throughout the country. It has the most radio stations, and we took that concept and we brought it to a physical architectural expression.
Bob Pittman's marching orders were very clear. He said, I want people to walk in the door, and I want them to get it in 5 seconds.
The idea is that you're walking across the radio dial. You're going in and out. And so literally, we're walking your mission statement.
We knew we were creating something in Manhattan, but we also had a sense that we were putting together the design DNA for the entire company.
And that's really, I think that's the key to the new workplace, is trying to connect the employees with the excitement that they're creating in the world.
I think if you asked us, what's the best project that we ever created, honestly, it's our office. Yeah. It's such a power center.
We know, even in the 20 years that we've been doing this, what it means to work has changed so much. And we believe in the power of design to change behavior, to make the world a better place in which to ply your craft.
Space can change behavior, like Brad's saying, for the better and also for the worse. And we think, so choose
better.
Yeah, choose better, exactly.
Actually, I spent a lot of time drawing because I couldn't speak very well when I was a kid. My parents thought I was a mute. I didn't talk till I was 5 years old. So I always using art as a way to communicate with people. So then, of course, when I came here, I couldn't speak very well because I couldn't speak the language. I can go back to my first day in primary school, and the teachers are so nice, so soft-spoken, and pat you in the back. I remember she came to me, greeted me, and hugged me, and bring me around the classroom, and keep on asking me something, and I don't know what she was saying. So she gave me a piece of paper, and I took the paper, I wrote down the only thing I know. I wrote to NY, because I sort of see this to NY on the ticket on the at the airport. So I wrote to NY, I said, very good, Tony. There you go, that's how I got the name. Being an interior designer, we tend to create things. We create the intangible part, then using the tangible to envelope it. So it's always about the packaging and the content. This is a perfect example. Undas is an absolute perfect example. It's not flamboyant. It's never meant to be flamboyant. However, it is a package of soul. I did some work for Fred at the store planning at the Bloomingdale Federated store. Fred Palatinis. I did some work for David Easton, Michael LaRocca. I did some work for Ray Condell, which is a great illustrator for Law & Taylor newspaper. Then eventually I wound up with Small Ferns, Charles Mount. He had a very small office up on the Upper West Side. In those days, he's got a little small social circle. John Saladino, Joe Durso, those guys. Occasionally you get Juan Montoya stop by, that generation of guys. And they used to come in, Charles always cook, and they always chit-chat, drink wine. I said, oh, gee, this is a good life. I can live with this. Being a young designer, sometimes you don't know what you're doing. You want to do everything. You tend to be more focused, to design great restaurant, you must learn how to eat. If you can't eat, you can't design. So eat. And that sort of opened up a new career for me. I think back in the 80s, the restaurant got bigger. Those days, restaurant just so flamboyant. Then, of course, my cafe society was equally flamboyant. The money was all come from Wall Street. And the Black Monday, I think 514 points later, everybody's out of a job. You learn something. You learn to deal with a good sense of reality. So that's the reason why I went to Asia. When I went out there was nobody out there. And you learn, you only can be a great designer if you get to practice design. If you don't practice design, your design not gonna get better. Really, so I think the 10 years I get to practice design, I draw, I design, I make mistakes, I went through the whole thing. I wanted to have this terrazzo floor with the cobalt blue and green glass chip in the terrazzo floor, and the Japanese contractor looked at me and says, "What are you talking about, glass chip?" And the Japanese said, "Nah, no such thing." I said, "Oh, watch me. Go give me a bottle of Coca-Cola." And I drink the bottle of Coca-Cola and crash the bottle. And he said, "Here's a green glass. Here, put it in." So the next thing you know, the whole job site is drinking Coca-Cola. That started a relationship with the Hyatt. See, this is the original Park Hyatt Shanghai. Shanghai was an exception opportunity. First of all, it's Mori building. And they want to build the second tallest building in China. And Bill Peterson, which I love Bill's work. And Bill worked out this wonderful geometry. So pure. And I look at this building, I say, could this building be a landmark one day? And I believe it could. Not every building can, but this one can. You know, and I just want to be part of that landmark building process. I remember the day I went to make the presentation to Mr. Mori. I said, "Mr. Mori," and I wrote down one word in Japanese, in kanji, means silence. And they thought, the people around the room, they thought I wanted to be quiet. Nobody talks. I said, no, you can't talk. So I said, I really want to build silence to contrast the city. Because Shanghai is absolutely crazy, with all that traffic. So I say, can you imagine if we create this contrast, then we have the complete cycle of the 24 hours. This is not about creating this theatrical. It's not about that. It's all about creating a form that follows certain function. My interior architecture is always very rigid. It's always based on order, always based on certain geometry. And the reason behind that is I believe in everything in my room will be chaos, including the light coming in, including all you guys are chaos. So everything in the rooms are chaos, and I use that to contain the chaos. So I practice that. So in fact, the design is actually very aggressive. You just don't know it because I work very hard to make sure the design go away. I develop a set of vocabularies in design. And then I take these vocabulary to heart, and I try to understand what it means. I try to know how to use it. Wine wall, what is it? It's wine, but not a wall. I'm not a wall person. I can create the wine adjacent to the sommelier. And did I not make his life easier? Architects tend to focus on the outside quite a bit, and they tend to forget looking at things from the inside out. Clients tend to say, "Oh, you're architect, then you build me a trophy then." The trophy is all about the outside, it's not about the inside. How many trophies do you know that you can actually break and say, "Oh, what a wonderful material." I can tell you one story with a recent experience when all the architects looking at the mock-up curtain wall, full-size curtain wall, they're all looking, admiring the beautiful detail, the beautiful fabrication, and I'm only yo-yo in the back of this curtain wall looking at it from the back because, that's my room.
How did it look?
Well, it didn't look very well. Design is a way of life. It's not a profession. It's not a tool. It's a philosophy. You use it to guide a way of life. I have this conversation with another colleague in our industry. He says to me, "I do what I do because I want what I want." I say, "I do what I do because this is what I want." And there's a big difference. This is all I know. I always want to be expressive. It's almost like composing a wonderful symphony, and nobody can hear it but me. And I do hear it every day, and I like it. I like what I'm hearing.
How do you get your way, Tony?
It's not a matter of my way. I will say one thing is you have a better way. If you don't have a better way, then I think my way is the best way. But if you have a better way, I'm happy to hear it. You know, I could be wrong, but under the circumstances, here's a one option, and what is yours? Let's look at it. If nothing better than this, then this is the way we go.